and welcome to another one of my reviews. In this video we'll be taking a look at the 1988 film The Ogre, or Demons 3 as it's also known as. Starting off with a dream sequence in which a young girl is terrorised by an ogre in this old castle. We're introduced to our main character, Cheryl, a respected horror novelist who's holidaying in Italy with her family.
I think we should be close. Check the map, Cheryl.
Okay.
But they soon get the impression there's something not quite right about the old villa they've rented.
Excuse me, could you tell us the road we have to take to get to Trifidi?
No, I don't know the place. I never heard of it before.
So who could we ask?
No one in this town. You took the wrong road. It's not around here.
Particularly as it resembles the old castle from Cheryl's nightmares. But as she gets to work on her new novel, she starts to notice weird things happening around the place.
Oh.
Orchid flowers are found randomly strewn about. Something nasty drips on her head in the cellar. Weird handprints appear.
Tom! Tom, come here!
Then disappear.
Tom, I swear there was a handprint in the flower.
It was probably yours.
Her lost childhood teddy bear turns up.
Don't you think it's better to say it looks like yours?
And then something nasty happens to the babysitter, as whatever's hiding in the castle finally appears. Not to mention dead bodies turning up in a flooded section of the old cellar. Cheryl is convinced that it's the ogre from her childhood nightmares that's hiding in the castle and turning the pages of a new novel into reality.
The monster extended its claw-like hand and bared her heaving breasts.
But her husband Tom doesn't believe a word of it, of course.
If I didn't know you, I would put this down as the sexual fantasies of a bored, frustrated housewife.
Until it finally pops up at the end, and the family are forced into a confrontation.
No! Stay away! Stay away from my son! No!
Now, if any of this seems a little familiar, that's because the screenwriter, Dardano Sacchetti, based it on his original script for The House by the Cemetery, which was also about a family terrorised by something nasty in the cellar.
It's identical. That's just not another coincidence.
So I don't think it's any coincidence that Paolo Malco appears in both films in more or less the same role. Also, if the flooded basement reminded you of a similar scene from Dario Argento's Inferno, that's probably because Sacchetti co-wrote that one as well.
I won't admit shit.
Now, The Ogre was actually made as a TV movie and was screened in Italy as part of a 4-part miniseries entitled Bravado Giallo, which also included the films Graveyard Disturbance, Until Death, and Dinner with a Vampire, which were also written by Sacchetti and directed by Lamberto Bava. The Ogre became known as Demons 3 largely due to its UK video release in the late 80s, as the distributors figured it would sell better if marketed as a sequel to the director's earlier Demons films, despite having nothing to do with them, and the name just sort of stuck. Indeed, I'm sure you can imagine my disappointment back in the day when I first watched this on video expecting another fast-paced gory horror flick, only to find that it was nothing of the sort.
I'm sorry, but I think this is a crock of shit.
Now, if you've been following my reviews, you'll know that The Ogre was actually one of 3 films that's been released as Demons 3 in various countries. The other 2, of course, being Umberto Lenzi's Black Demons, and Michael Suave's The Church, which I've also reviewed, but none of these are actually sequels. Rather confusingly, the film was also retitled as Ghost House 2 for its German release, where it was marketed as a sequel to Umberto Lenzi's Ghost House, despite having nothing to do with that one either.
Come on. You know they don't exist.
Being made for TV, the film is pretty light on gore, but the main problem with it is that there's these really long periods where nothing much happens, and when it does, it doesn't really amount to anything.
The worst is yet to come.
For the most part, the ogre is residing in this weird cocoon thing in the cellar and doesn't show up properly until well over an hour into the film when it attacks the babysitter. The rest of the plot is padded out with footage of Cheryl's childhood nightmares, a lot of which is just rehash footage from the opening scene. It doesn't show up properly again until right at the very end for the final confrontation, which again doesn't really amount to anything, and I'm going to spoil the ending for you here, as the creature is run over by the family jeep and then just disappears.
I killed him, Tom. It's over.
And then the film ends just like nothing happened.
By the way, Anna called. Maria came home at dawn with her boyfriend.
Ah.
So, did any of this happen, or was it all in their minds? Or did it happen but killing the ogre and did everything? None of this is explained, and you're left wondering just what the point of it all was.
Of course it's absurd. It's all absurd.
The film does have its good points, making the most of its castle setting. The acting is good, featuring a few Italian regulars like the aforementioned Paolo Malco, who's been in a number of Italian horrors, and Virginia Bryant, who the sharper-eyed viewers will remember had a brief role in Demons 2. The film is also very atmospheric, but unfortunately it's just so slow-paced and so little actually happens in it that it makes it a hell of a slog to sit through.
Here you can die of boredom. Nothing ever happens.
Now, The Ogre has been released to disc, so it's not too difficult to get hold of, but it is not a film I would recommend unless you're morbidly curious, that is. But if you do watch it, view it on its own merits and don't compare it to the other Demons films.
You really don't want to see it.
Thanks for watching. Have you seen The Ogre? If so, tell me what you thought about it in the comments section, and be sure to tell us what films you'd like to see reviewed in a future video. Please be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already done so, as it really helps me in the algorithm. Also, if you're able to, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll be back with more reviews in the near future, so until then...
Oh, honey!